Osaka, March 1984. On a quiet street, in the middle of the night, 3 men broke into a house and took the president of a candy company from his own bathtub. They held him for 3 days. Then he escaped and told police everything he could remember. It wasn't much, and it was the last clean look anyone would ever get at them. They signed their letters with a name borrowed from a children's story, a master thief in disguise called the Phantom with 20 faces. They added 1. Nobody has ever explained why 21 and not 20. That turns out to be true of almost everything about them. For a year and a half, they wrote taunting letters to newspapers, to police, to 2 of Japan's biggest food companies, in playful, childish handwriting, entirely in phonetic script, simple enough that a child could have written it. In May, the threat arrived in writing, cyanide, in Glico's own products, on shelves nationwide. Glico pulled every product from every shelf in the country. It cost them, and their rival Morinaga, millions of dollars. Hundreds of workers lost their jobs over letters typed by men no one had ever seen. That October, they went further and left real cyanide-laced candy on real shelves. Each package carrying its own warning label. Contains poison. Eat this and die. As far as anyone has ever confirmed, not one person who saw that label ate the candy anyway. Then, without warning, they forgave Glico. One letter said there was a 4-year-old in their own group who cried every time he heard about it. Twice, they arranged for cash to be dropped along moving trains and highways. Twice, undercover police watched a man they had never seen before, checking the money, checking for a tail. In January 1985, police released his likeness to the public. It became the most famous face in Japan, a face that belonged to no one anyone could find. 40 years later, in 2024, a retired investigator finally said what many had wondered. The famous sketch, he said, never really looked like the man at all. One writer spent years living under suspicion, cleared by his alibi, never charged. He later wrote his own books about being, in his words, the case's most important person of interest. That November, after a stakeout went wrong and the man in the sketch slipped away again, the superintendent of the Shiga police said publicly that all responsibility was his alone. The following August, he took his own life. 5 days after his death, one last letter arrived. It said they were finished, a kind of condolence offering. In their own words, "It's fun to lead a bad man's life," the letter said. Then, the letters simply stopped. No one was ever arrested. The investigation ran for 16 years until the law itself gave up first. The last chargeable offense passed its own statute of limitations at midnight in February of the year 2000. The letters stopped. The men never surfaced. 21 faces, and to this day, not one of them has a name. 21 faces, 0 names.